Hey class, this will be a very short lesson and I like it. I mean, it's just get something done here. Okay, so we're talking about a very short time period in the late 1800s, early 1900s that overlaps with the Progressive Era. So all that was going on during this time. Basically, right before the 1920s. And we call this time period the U.S. rise of a world power. Okay, and I've also heard it called U.S. expansionism. Okay, so in this time period, it was a time when the United States was expanding its empire beyond just California. Okay, and I'll show you on a map of some territories that the United States was gaining and acquiring or stealing, if you want to look at it that way. But hit pause if you want to write this down, but I'm going to keep going here. Okay, now I need you to write this down. There was a guy, and his name is Alfred Thayer Mahan, and he wrote a book. This is way back in the late 1800s, and there's a picture of the book cover on the right-hand side. And what he said was this. He said, if the United States is ever going to become a world power, then we need to spend billions of dollars on the Navy. We need to be like England. Or if you go back to the Spanish Empire of the 1500s, for a few hundred years, the Spanish were the strongest empire in the world. So what this guy was saying, Alfred Thayer Mahan, is he convincingly wrote this book saying the United States needs to spend more money on its Navy. So I found this picture that I think is totally cool. It was called the Great White Fleet, and it was the American Navy. And what they did was they took these ships and they sailed them around the world, showing off the American might. And so, and it was kind of like saying, hey, we're here, we're not going anywhere. And it was also kind of saying, don't mess with us. Now, don't get me wrong, America was not some major kick-butt world power yet, but this show of this Navy going around the world was a way of saying that we are contending with England to be among the best navies in the world. And it was inspired by Alfred Thayer Mahan. Now, one more thing before we move on. How did we pay for all these expensive ships? Where is the government getting all this money? Well, the 16th Amendment was passed, and that said that people had to pay income taxes. So remember, armies aren't free. Ships aren't free. These things, like ships today, cost billions of dollars, okay? So anyway, all right, moving right along. So here's a multiple choice. Alfred Thayer Mahan supported moving the United States into a position of power by doing what? Okay, hit pause. The answer is no, the answer is B. The answer is B. Okay, my arrow is off, okay? The answer is B, Navy, the Navy, okay? All right. All right, write this down. What is the Spanish-American War? I need you to memorize this year, 1898. I think this is the first year I'm asking you to memorize for this class. It happened in 1898. What caused it? I'm going to explain on the next few slides. It was an explosion of a ship called the USS Maine. Anytime you see the letters USS capitalized, that means we're talking about a ship, like the USS Titanic, or, well, actually, that was a British ship. Anyway, and then also yellow journalism. I'm going to explain that right now. So write this down, hit pause if you need to, but I'm moving on. So here's the deal. Cuba and Puerto Rico were part of the Spanish Empire. The residents of Cuba and Puerto Rico were beginning to revolt against Spanish rule, like colonists versus the colonizers. The United States was very interested in the sugar plantations on these islands and tobacco and other things as well. But there was a lot of money in sugar. You know what you can make with sugar? Rum. Okay? The United States sent a warship down to Havana Harbor in Cuba to kind of to watch what was going on and to let the Spanish know that we are watching. And this ship is called the USS Maine. So get this. One night, boom, the ship exploded. Okay, and as you can see from the picture, seamen were just flying everywhere. All right, and so now what? What's going on? Okay, what are we supposed to make of this? Well, let me tell you what did happen. The newspapers, these crappy tabloid newspapers, and they exaggerated the story. Look at this headline. Main explosion caused by bomb or torpedo? Well, what if it was neither? You see that? So today we have clickbait. We have fake news. But back in 1898, you had what's called yellow journalism. Here's another one. Crisis is at hand. Spanish treachery. Well, you know what? Maybe there is no crisis. Maybe it's just some stuff that happened. Okay? We don't know what caused that explosion. But these newspapers, they want to sell papers. Okay? The reason it was called yellow journalism is because the quality of the paper was so bad that the newspaper would turn yellow by the end of the day or something. That's why it was called yellow journalism. We have got to fight, must declare for war. No, we don't need to. These people just want to sell newspapers. Okay? In modern day, this is what yellow journalism looks like. Now, Newsweek, they're not quite as bad as, let's say, like Weekly World News or the National Enquirer in Spanish, things like this. That's yellow journalism. It's just garbage that, they just want you to buy. Okay? All right, here's a meme I found. Okay. All right. And now this is just a little review. How are yellow journalists different from muckrakers? Okay, now think about that. What are muckrakers? Think back. I'm going to let you try to answer that one on your own. Okay, yellow journalists, they just want to sell newspapers. Muckrakers, they want to make the world a better place. Okay, they're more responsible. So, what are the results of the Spanish War? You need to know this. There were 3 territories that we got from as a result of winning the Spanish-American War. We got Puerto Rico. That became American property. And even today, Puerto Ricans are Americans, by the way. All right. If you want to go to Puerto Rico, you don't even need a passport. Okay. You are not leaving the United States when you go to Puerto Rico. And there's no such thing as a Puerto Rican immigrant. They don't exist. They are Americans. Okay. We did not get Cuba, but we did get Guam, some islands out in the middle of nowhere, and then the Philippines. Okay, so Puerto Rico, Guam, Philippines. You need to have that memorized. Okay, now we didn't get Cuba, but we did kind of take them on as like a protectorate, so we could bully them, but we didn't own Cuba. Okay, so write this down. What were the effects of the Spanish-American War? We expanded our empire. We got Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. And I know this doesn't seem important, but it is. It affected our economy. It stimulated sugar production and U.S. industry. Okay, it's rare, but sometimes you'll get a question on that. And another thing, and I'll explain why in a second, it led to us creating the Panama Canal. Okay, I'll explain why in a second. All right. So here's an old EOC question. You got the cause and effect, which are going to be the same thing. So which of these answers down here goes here and here? Which sentence provides information needed to complete both the cause and effect portions of this diagram? Okay. All right. The answer is A. Okay. All right, so on the EOC, sometimes what they'll do is they'll give you 4 statements, and then they'll ask you a question about choose which of these statements is relevant to what we're asking you. So here you go. Which statement would most likely be found in a history of the economic impact of the Spanish-American War on the United States? Okay, the answer is 3. The acquisition of new territories, Philippines, Guam, Puerto Rico, allowed for the expansion of U.S. commercial trade. Okay? All right. Which of the following best replaces the question mark in this list of information about Puerto Rico? Okay? The answer is B. Was ceded. That means was let go to the United States as a result of the Spanish-American War. Okay? All right, now a little bit about Teddy Roosevelt. Now, I already told you he was a trust buster, and I told you about his thing with national parks. Well, also, one thing that he did is he believed that the United States should become a world power. He was one of those like manly men, you know? And so what he started to do was he started to bully Latin America. And he also told European powers, hey, this is our territory. This is our neck of the woods. You Europeans, you go home. So basically, this island belonged to the French, and the Americans are saying, we will get you your money. You guys get out of here. This is our neighborhood. This is our turf. Okay? So basically, and this cartoon is saying that America, symbolized by Theodore Roosevelt, was the world's constable. Constable is a British word for police, the world's police. And look at this, the new diplomacy, meaning, and this goes back to Teddy Roosevelt's saying, which he got from Africa. It was, speak softly, but carry a big stick. So America was saying that, you know, we should be strong in the world. And look how Teddy Roosevelt is separating the Europeans over here from Latin Americans over here. Okay? Now, let me tell you why we decided to build the Panama Canal. During the Spanish-American War, by the way, the Spanish-American War was fought here near Puerto Rico and Cuba, right here in the Caribbean. Well, we had some ships over here. And so during that war, we sailed the ships all the way around South America. And that took months. It took months. By the time the ships got there, the war was over. So the United States said, hey, we need a shortcut down here. We need to build a canal or something. You know, we're just going to have to get down there and start digging or something. But we didn't own the land down there. But we had all the money, but we didn't own any land down there. So you know what the United States did? There were some rebels down here called Panamanian rebels. And there was no Panama back then. It was Northern Colombia. And the United States went down there and helped these Panamanian rebels declare independence from Colombia. And you know what Panama did? The first thing that they did when they got their independence from Colombia? They gave the United States a contract to build a canal that cut their country in half. So the United States owned the Panama Canal for almost 100 years. As like a thank you for granting them independence from Colombia. Okay, so here's a picture of the Panama Canal. It's not very wide, it's not very deep, but it is wide and deep enough for 2 ships, like a 2-lane road. Okay, and what it does is it lifts the ships over like small mountains. You see the mountains there? Well, you're going to have to lift ships up to get them across there. So you put a ship here, you close the door behind it, you fill it up, and then you open the front door, and basically it's like a staircase for the ships. And then you got to go down. Here's a GIF. You see the ship going up, the door's closed behind it, the ship goes forward, the doors close behind it, fill it up with water, and then you do that a few times, and then the ship keeps going forward. It takes about 8 hours to travel the Panama Canal. Okay, because you got to lift that stuff up. Okay. All right. This was the main reason why Americans wanted the Panama Canal built. The answer is it's a shortcut. It was a shortcut. All right, now check out this old EOC question. What outcome was an important effect of the 1898 event illustrated by this map? So one thing I want you to understand about cause and effect questions. On the EOC and from me, you're going to get questions talking about cause and effect. So what they're saying is that this is the cause and your answer is the effect. So let's look at the cause. All right, the voyage of the USS Oregon departed San Fran in March, went around, arrived in Florida of May. So it took like 6 to 8 weeks to go all the way around. So what was an effect of this 1898 event? The answer is something to do with the Panama Canal. Okay? This cartoon comments on tactics used to what? So know that face. It's good to know his face. Notice it says the big stick. And let me give you a big hint. Panama. Okay? Answer the question. The answer is Panama Canal. Obtain control of the Panama Canal zone. Okay? All right. What was the main effect of the changes shown in this graph on the western United States? So, okay, western United States, that's California and Washington and Oregon. Differences, always read the title. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. Differences in maritime shipping distances before and after the Panama Canal opened. So, the light gray is by way of Panama Canal. Dark black is by way of the Magellan Straits. Let me show you the Magellan Straits. The Magellan Straits is down here. Okay? All right. So you got Liverpool in England to San Francisco. If you go around South America, it takes this many miles. If you go through the Panama Canal, it only takes this long. So it's a shortcut. Same thing here, New York to San Francisco. You know, you got gay pride, so you want to go to San Francisco. Through the Panama Canal, 5,000. Around South America, 15,000. So answer the question. Remember this, technology always makes everything faster, cheaper, more efficient. So the Panama Canal is a technology, so it's going to make travel and trade faster, cheaper, more efficient. The answer is, remember that? Faster, cheaper, more efficient. Okay? All right, write this down, Sanford Doyle. Basically, I've never seen him on the EOC, but this guy, he encouraged the United States to steal Hawaii from the natives. Hawaii was an independent nation with a king and a monarchy and all that, and this guy wanted to grow pineapples and sell them to Americans and everyone else. So he convinced the United States to annex Hawaii. So in 1898, the same year as the Spanish-American War, Hawaii became a U.S. territory. Now, why would the United States want Hawaii? Well, because you could put a Navy base there. You can also use it as a resting stop on the way to China. Okay? All right. Sanford B. Doyle is remembered for having expanded U.S. power by what? Okay, so just think of Dole pineapples. The answer is B, Hawaii. Okay? All right. So again, just remember this time period. It wasn't, look at all this stuff that the United States gained control of. American Samoa, Alaska, 1867, Hawaii, where's Hawaii? Hawaii, 1898, Johnson Island, Wake Island, Baker, Howland. I mean, it's like it. I mean, I know these are just small islands, but it looks like the United States is starting to really take over the Pacific Ocean. How do you think these people are starting to feel that these crazy Americans are taking over everything? All right, Alaska, 1867. So the United States is, oh, and don't forget Panama too. Panama. So the United States is starting to expand and become a world power during this time. Okay. All right, so summary. The United States is no longer isolationist. They are expanding their empire with new territories. Make sure you know the causes and effects of the Spanish-American War and the date. Okay? That's it. Thank you very much.